Hi fibrologists, it's Tony from the Fibrology Lab. Welcome to Worldwide Quilting Day Week or National Quilting Day Week, meaning that this is going to be the third Saturday of March, and on the third Saturday of March we have two holidays, technically. Worldwide Quilting Day and National Quilting Day. So I'm celebrating this week by giving you little tips every day this week on how I do certain processes in quilting. A lot of them are just simple little things, but if you're new and you're like a little fearful of some processes, I'm going to help you with that. We'll try to help you with that. So today's topic is how to pick out fabric. Now we can spend hours in the classroom, which I will do virtually. I'm going to figure out how to teach my color concept in a virtual format because I have taught it before. But the basis is just you have a project in mind. I have the pattern. What do? I need fabric. I don't feel confident enough to pick out my own fabric. Let's give you some tips for this trip to your local quilt shop. So a couple things just regarding my quilting class and ideas. I encourage you to invest in two books. They're good foundation books. They talk about color theory and concepts and how to use color across the color wheel. And these I will use in my virtual class as well. I think one of them's out of print. I'm pretty sure this one's still available. This one's called Color Mastery, 10 Principles for Creating Stunning Quilts. It is by, what's her name? Maria Plegler. So that is the first one. You can get that one. This one I'm pretty sure is out of print. It's called Color Magic for Quilters. It's by Anne Seeley and Joyce Stewart. It's an old book. So the other thing is when you get these books, they are dated in their fabric choices. But remember, it's about color. And that's what we're here to talk about. This is a good foundation for you to get familiar with how to use the color wheel and pull colors across it. But let's talk about the even more basic. Like I said, you got a pattern. You know this person likes blues and browns. Where to start? So the first thing I would recommend is go to your local quilt shop. And you say, well, I don't have a local quilt shop. You know, a lot of quilt shops, even if they're not local to you, will do FaceTime. We have a cell phone number on our business line now. We will do FaceTime and work with you to help you pick out fabrics. So don't, we're in a new age of technology or using or shopping. So make sure you think of that as well. You're totally welcome to call me. I can walk through our fabrics and show you what we have available to match up something that you would like to work with. So that's the first tip. Go to a local shop, talk to somebody, say, hey, I need a brown and blue quilt. Here's my pattern, help. Who doesn't want to play with fabric? They do. Go put them to work. So the other tip 2, is on most fabric, if it's a screen print, it will have color dots on the bottom of the selvage. Now you've seen those pretty dots and you're thinking, oh, those are so cute, especially nowadays that a lot of manufacturers will use themed color dots to match whatever the fabric is. Like this one's got little stars for the starfish in this particular ocean line from Studio E. When you see that, those are the actual inks and the different stage of them laying it down on the fabric. That's how print screening works. So the first one they would put down was probably the light blue on this end, and then worked all the way to the end where the last color they put on was the black outline pieces on this particular fabric. So in this kind of print screen fabric, you only get 18 layers of ink on there for the saturation to hold and work through washes and more washes. So that's something to keep in mind, but this is a great way. This is a perfect tool. So tip number 2, open up the bolt of fabric that you have it picked as a focus. Maybe, like I said, well, this is not blue and brown, but we have an ocean theme here going today. So I'm going to pull these fabrics that will work with this. So you go over to the blender wall. You can hold the bolt up against the blender wall, or you just hold these colors up to the blender wall and pull them out, and it's going to work. So that's tip number 2, your color dots. Tip number 3. So again, you have a quilt, somebody likes a certain color palette, which is not your cup of tea. I should have grabbed a pink bolt so you understand. I recommend pulling out, most shops carry, not everybody does, K-facet fabrics. Now, not everyone likes them. That's okay. But what makes them great is they have lots of vibrant color palettes. So I just pulled this one out because it looks oceany, even though it's a cabbage, and there's purple in it. But there's a lot of mint green, green, and blue, and turquoise in here as well. So say you went to a store, they didn't have that ocean fabric you really wanted, but you want the ocean colors. You're gonna go up to a store, go into the store, find a bolt of fabric that has the right color palette for you, and use this. Again, pulling from this particular one does have the dots as well, and pulling that up to your blender walls in the quilt shop. So that's tip number 3 if you don't know what you want. So those are the 3 easy tips. Now, a couple other things, since we're talking about print screen, not all fabric has those dots. And I have 2 of them here to show you. Batiks do not have dots, and digital prints do not have dots. And here's the reason. You can only get 18 ink colors on a printed cotton. Digital prints, you can have 1,800 colors because it is printed differently. It has a different tool, different saturation of color. And what I like to say, it is vibrant. So when you look at it side by side, it has more, it's more depth, more richer tones. It's vibrant. And that's why I prefer digital prints for my focus fabrics. And the other thing is they're printed on a higher thread count to saturate that ink a little more evenly and last longer. So they don't have dots. So again, like I told you with the cave, what I recommend is taking this bolt. You really like the colors in this palette because it's vibrant, and take it along and put it up against the color blender wall. Now, the other question we get a lot of times, can you mix digital with cotton and batiks and metallics? You can do whatever you want. You know, as long as you love how it looks, once you wash it that first time, they're all going to feel the same. They're all going to feel soft and squishy. So just go with it. Just go with it. So batiks, again, we don't, they don't have color dots. They're saturated all the way through. They are double-sided, but sometimes the wrong side is noticeable. Just keep that in mind when you work with batiks. Do they bleed? Sometimes they do. Again, you might want to test it, especially like on dark reds, on dark blacks, and dark blues. Just be safe and sorry. But the way I look at batiks in the color realm, if I'm looking at, I want to do a completely batik quilt, I look at batiks as one color. Even if there's multiple colors in there, I will step back from it and find out the most prominent color, and I use it like that. Well, you can't necessarily look at well, I guess you can on this one, because I'm gonna say that one looks mint. So if I look at this and all I see is mint and focus on that, but if I have a piece that's so small and it pulls in more purple, it's not gonna work well in my pattern. Just think about how big your pieces are in your pattern is also going to matter what size of print you're going to be using. So I'm not going to talk a lot about the print size because of the way, that's a very visual thing, and it depends on the pattern. It depends on what you're pulling together. That's why you go to your local quilt shop and they can help you with that. But my goal today was to give you 3 tips to pick out fabric when you walk into a quilt shop. First tip is talk to a salesperson at the quilt shop. Second tip, pull out find you a screen print of your focus fabric or even something you just really like, and use those dots against the color wall. And what was it? Oh no, this is the second tip. Use the color wall, use the dots on your focus fabric. Third tip was pull something that you're not going to use and use that as your color palette for picking out your fabric. So that's just simple basic stuff. And again, you can always pull out those books to help you find more in-depth color play if you really want to get more, if you don't want to just keep it simple. Who wants to keep it simple? We want to challenge ourselves. So I challenge you, go out and pick out your fabric. And again, don't forget, ask shops if they will do FaceTime, because that's another way to, if you can't get out, don't be afraid to call, like us. You can call us, 865-294-5612, and I will totally do a FaceTime with you. So that is our little spiel on how to pick out color for a fabric for your project for quilting. It works for sewing too. I will be back in our next segment. I'm going to talk about how to prep our fabric before we cut it. So we got to prep it. So now we've picked it out. We got to prep it, and then we've got to cut it. So we're going to talk about that over the next couple segments. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Email me, info@fibrologylab.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as we are slowly populating our channel, giving you more information so you will have some tools to work from. Yeah, you can call me too, 865-294-5612. You guys have a great one. And remember, we are friends, fibers, and fun.